everyone, it is Monday, August 25th, and I thought I would get on here today and do a little bit of recording of my day. We just got back from our last camping trip, although Brad and I are going to try to squeeze one more in, maybe this fall, but I don't know, because we're also going to the beach in September, so it might be hard. Anyway, my plan for today, well, I'm doing lots of laundry because, you know, we were camping. So I'm getting that done. And then I have to mow, which we have a lot of property. So that's a chore in itself. I usually start the mowing during the day, and then Brad will do like the weed eating and some of the push mowing, depending if I got it done. But what I wanted to do is kind of like a little vlog style recording to wrap up the month of August. It's crazy. We're all saying that, right? It's crazy that August is over already. But I want to do that and answer some of the Q&A questions. And one, or was it several people might have asked about seeing my yarn stash. And so I thought I would share that today too, because I feel like that, I don't know, I feel like I could get really in depth with that, but I don't know that I want to. So I think I'm just going to show you my stash. And I have a stash that is, I would say, moderate sized. And I have like my good yarn. I don't want to say good yarn. My favorite yarns, or my really woolly yarns, or the yarns that I spent a little bit more money on. And then I have my yarns that I use for things when I need yarn that has minimal care instructions. So I'm going to share my yarn stash today, and I'm going to just try to pepper throughout this video like the answers to some of the questions that you guys had when I put that Q&A post out on Instagram and also on my YouTube community. Right now it is 9:30 in the morning. I'm out walking Tilly. It is only supposed to be in the low 70s Fahrenheit here this week and mostly sunny. Now that is beautiful, like perfect weather, except for the fact that we've hardly had any rain, and we have well water. So our water depends upon the underground streams of water. So when it's not raining a lot, we have to be really mindful here at our house to be very careful with how much water we use. And so my garden's not getting watered hardly at all, which means it's suffering for that. But I need to keep in mind that I have to wash dishes and wash our clothes, and we need to get showers. So when this happens, which anytime we have a dry summer, it happens because this is just the state of our well, we have to, my garden is our last priority as far as watering. So my plan for today is to do my walk with Tilly, and then I'm going to go into the house. I already have laundry going. I need to do some dishes. And then I want to show you guys my yarn stash. And then eventually I'm going to mow later. I took all of the Q&A, or the questions that you guys had given me, and I wrote them down on a piece of paper. But I did not bring that out here with me. But I do remember that multiple people had asked me when and how I first learned to knit. And so I have my grandma. My mom's mom was a knitter and a crocheter, and she attempted to teach me both when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I was young. I was in elementary school. I could not for the life of me get the finger coordination for the knitting, like using 2 needles, but I did like to crochet. So I crocheted off and on, like throughout elementary, high school, very minimal in high school because I was really busy with just high school stuff. And then I really picked up crochet again when I was pregnant with my son Ian, because I was on bed rest from 21 weeks until I delivered him at 38. So I was flat on my back on the couch, so I crocheted a lot. At some point when my kids were little, I don't know exact timeline or dates, I decided that although I like to crochet for them, I preferred the look of knitted garments. And so I taught myself to knit. And most of the things that I do are just self-taught. I don't mind taking, actually, I really enjoy learning. I always joke that if I could get somebody to pay for my college education, I would go back to school and just study and learn. But I already paid for a college education one time, so I don't want to do it again. So I just teach myself. When I want to learn something, I teach myself. And it's really nice that we have so many options and resources now to be able to teach ourselves. Like online is just, wow, we have so many options. So if you're wanting to learn how to crochet or knit or embroider or cross stitch or whatever it is, paint, watercolor paint, whatever, I'm just going through the hobbies that I do. You just got to jump in and do it. And don't expect to be perfect. You know, just jump in and do it, because there's so many resources we have now. I like to learn through books, but I learn easier whenever I supplement it with a video, especially certain things like certain knitting techniques, mostly, or embroidery stitches. Sometimes it's just hard to take a stitch and make it flat on a page. So it's much easier for me to learn by watching somebody showing me how to do that. But a lot of the other things, I actually really like book learning. And so I would like to start there if I can, but a lot of times I do supplement with YouTube. What are you doing? What you doing, Tilly? So this is the back gate into my garden. Yeah, so puppy had an accident. So we had to spray off the entryway rug. Let me show you what happens when you don't properly weed a garden bed. So I planted this bed with sunflower seeds, which you can see there's sunflowers. But this bed is full of weeds as well, including, let me show you my nemesis right there. Do you know what that is? I don't know if this is all over the world or just here in America, but that is ragweed. And I am so highly allergic to that. And it is all through this bed. And so I'm staying away from this bed until probably next spring, after I know all the ragweed is dead. But this bed does have some sunflowers in it, which I'm just enjoying from a distance, and the bees are really enjoying. And then it also has a ton of morning glory, because that's what morning glory does. It just takes over. my bedroom, which is where I like to keep my yarn. I have kept my yarn other places in the past. Actually, I don't even have all my yarn here. This is my yarn that I like to look at and it inspires me. So it's like my favorite yarn, my woolly yarn, my nicer yarn. I keep that all up here. I have this bookcase and this bookcase. I have more yarn in my closet, and I have yarn downstairs in the bedroom that used to be Sergei's and then Ian's before they both moved out. It's now my little craft space, which I'm going to go down there, but it is dark down there and the lighting's not good. So I don't film. I'm not planning on filming a lot down there, but this is my main yarn storage. And I love to have it up here. I thought about moving these two bookcases downstairs into that craft room, but I just get so much inspiration walking by these shelves of beautiful yarn many times a day. And so they are here. They're in this room for more of like an inspiration for me, because when I see my yarn, I want to make things with my yarn. When I see the beautiful colors, I get inspired. So yeah, that's up here. This, I don't know, this may change someday. I feel like if I had a space upstairs here where there's natural light, then I would probably have my room and all of my yarn would be in that room, because I would be more drawn to go into there. I'm not drawn to go to the basement so much. It's a nice room, but it's dark because it's in the basement. So anyway, this is my main yarn stash. Here I have my whole, well, behind this stuff, I have all my hand spun on this shelf. And then up here, I have fiber that needs to be spun. I have lots, actually, I have lots more fiber. I have way too much fiber. I really should sell fiber. I have some that I'm probably not going to use, although I hold on to because I figure I can like stuff amigurumi or stuffies when I start making more of those when I have grandkids someday. Anyway, I'm going to grab the camera now and I'm going to give you more of a close-up of what is on these shelves. And then I'm going to show you the other areas in my house where I keep my yarn. This shelf is mostly heavier weight. I do have some DK weight up here like this. At one point in time, this was worsted weight. This was hand spun. This shelf here, I don't know if you can even see that in the video screen, was DK, and then I had like sport and fingering on the two lower shelves. But like this good wool, which I really like. This is okay. Oh, so someone had asked, I have my little paper here with all the questions on it. I should look at it because I cannot remember things. But somebody had asked what my favorite yarn is, and I can't say I have an absolute favorite, but I will say that I really like Purl Soho's Good Wool, and it's just a 100% Andean Highland wool. And I knit, what did I knit out of this last year or 2 years ago? It was a colorwork sweater that I cannot remember the pattern right now, what the pattern was, but hold on, I'm gonna grab it and I'll show you. Okay, this was a sweater that I knit, I think it was 2 winters ago. And it is a pattern by the Petite Knitter, who now has a different name that I don't know her business name now. I will write this all down below because I can't remember the name of this pattern either. I'm drawing a blank. But I knit this sweater out of Purl Soho Good Wool, which is like I think it is classified as a DK, but I feel like it's a light DK or a sport weight. This was the color, I think it was like Barn Door or something, this red, and then Pink Salt for the contrast color. And so after I used this yarn to knit this sweater, and I realized how much I really liked it, and I feel like it wears pretty good. I mean, I'm definitely getting some pilling here, but that doesn't bother me. I just pick it off or use my depiller. But then I went ahead and ordered it in this color to do another sweater, which this is called Desert Blue. And then I had a viewer send me this color, which is Teal Twilight. And I have This is me. I find a yarn I really like, so I buy a bunch of it. And then I really like this really pretty purple color. This is a good color for me. My dog is in the background just spazzing out, so hopefully that's not too distracting. This is called Wild Heath. So this is this really pretty lavender purple color. That might be it on that particular, that particular yarn. But that's probably one of my favorite yarns for making sweaters because I feel like it's durable. It is not scratchy for me. It might be for some people, but it's not scratchy for me. And it makes a nice, like, I mean, of course, this is going to depend on your needle size and gauge, but for me, I feel like this makes a nice weight sweater and also a nice gauge, or excuse me, it makes it like a kind of drapey, so it's not overly stiff. So I really like that. I will put a link down below. I am actually now, I'm really excited about this. I am finally a Pearl Soho affiliate, and that just means that if you click through my link down below to buy any yarn off of Pearl Soho, I will make a small commission off of that. It's not upcharged for you or anything like that, but I've been wanting to do that for a while because I've been using Pearl Soho's yarn for multiple years and I really like it. So that has been exciting news for me. That just was approved. So brand new affiliate. Anyway, that's one of my favorite yarns. Now this next type of yarn is not actually a particular brand, but I will say one of my favorite knit combos. Yarn combos is to take a fingering weight and hold it double with mohair. I absolutely love that. I love knitting with mohair, period. When I made my most recent ranunculus, I held mohair with Kelborn Woolen's Germantown DK. So even doing it that way, it definitely gave me a bigger gauge than if I would have held the mohair with fingering weight, but I really like to knit and wear mohair. So that's also another favorite combination that I have. As far as that's like winter yarns. For summer yarns, I really like Drops Belle. I am currently still knitting my ranunculus with my Sandnes Garn Lena. I don't know if I actually like that yarn better than the Drops Belle. They're very similar. I think they might be the same exact fiber content. They do feel a little bit different working with them. I haven't decided if I actually like one better than the other. So the verdict's still out on that. I was actually going to do a whole podcast episode about that, but I'm actually going to wait on that until next year, I think, because I think I might want to knit another garment with the Sandnes Garn Lena before I make that call, because I have knit so many with the Drops Belle. But again, that's more for like summery things. If you are looking for a heavier weight, like a worsted weight or an Aran weight yarn, I really like Drops Air, which is a blown yarn. And I actually have quite a bit of that. I have this, plus I have, so this is a sweater's quantity. Let me take that out. This is a plan. This is a project I already have planned. I have two skeins of this bright blue. This is going to be the contrast color, and this is going to be a color work sweater. But this is Drops Air, which is baby alpaca, merino wool, and then it has some sort of polyamide, 28% polyamide. So it's mostly alpaca. It's 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide, and 7% wool. I have knit multiple sweaters out of this. And here, I have one right here. This is my Drama that I knit. This is a pattern by Jennifer Steingass. I actually knit this exact pattern in the same exact yarn, color and everything, twice, because this is mine, but I had also knit one for my daughter. I really like the Drops Air. I feel like it holds up really well. I've worn this sweater a lot, and there is pilling, but I don't think there's an exceptional amount of it. And when you do get it, it literally just peels right off. And I think some of that is the tubing that the yarn is blown into kind of helps give it the yarn structure and keeps it from pilling a whole lot. But this would also definitely be a favorite color work sweater of mine. I have knit it more than one time, but I really like how this holds up. I'm also currently knitting my step-by-step cardigan in Drops Air, and I'm holding that double with Pearl Soho linen quill, and I'm really liking that as well. Okay, so let me give you a close-up. As I said, this is a lot of the heavier weight yarn. This is my only Brooklyn tweed yarn. This is the Quarry, and that is, what is that? Shelter. So I bought these a while ago. I had plans for both of them, and I have not knit them yet, and I keep thinking about destashing that and selling it. I actually have several yarns that I've been considering doing a destash sell on Instagram. And then this whole section here is actually yarn from, I cannot pronounce the name. It's the company that does Newton yarn. So this was from Carolyn's days of natural dyeing, way back before she had her own mill. So I used to follow her on Patreon, and this goes way back. But this all in here is from that. And then I have, what is this brand? I always forget it. Lion's Pride worsted. This makes really good colorwork hats. I've made colorwork hats out of that. And oh, here's another of one of my favorites for a like Aran weight. It's Barocco Mercado. I made two Felix cardigans, Felix pullovers out of this yarn. The first one was in this blue color, and then this was the second one, this rusty red color. And then, as I said, down here, behind everything, oh no, making a mess. This is part of it. I always make a mess when I podcast. Why would this time be any different? Okay, got to clear that out. Honestly, I should do something and like reorganize my stash here. This is all my hand spun. These are my little dollies I made. Okay, here is my hand spun. I think that this is all of the hand spun that I've ever knit or spun up. And I think I've only ever knit two complete, I think they were both shawls. So two complete projects out of my hand spun. Most of my hand spun I spin up and then I let it set here and I don't do anything with, which is actually very ridiculous. And I need to start using it. So that is a goal of mine, to start using my hand spun. So that is what's on that shelf. Okay, and then here we have some yarn here. This is just, I don't know. I need to get back to organizing stuff better. I can see almost everything I have because I have it like laying down on its side so that I can see, except for this. This is all like commercial sock yarn on this side. And it's stacked in there pretty deep. Yes, it is. And then this is some just hand spun, or not hand spun, hand dyed DK weight yarn from multiple different yarn dyers. Yeah, I have this sock set here. I want to actually, this is from Sweet Mountain Crafts, and I actually want to get that caked up and start making a pair of DK weight socks with this. This does have nylon in it, so that's wonderful. Okay, and then down here I have more commercial yarns. So we've got some knit picks in here. We've got some of this Barocco Light Remix on this shelf, and then some, actually this basket has mostly knit picks stroll yarn. Oops, sorry, not even really filming what I'm pointing to. What is this? Oh yeah, okay. This is Pasquale Merino Baby, and I bought 3 skeins of this at like 50% off at Moon Yarn and Craft Store. Moon and Yarn Craft Room. I don't know why I always mix that name up. I don't know why I do that. I love this color so much. It's showing more purple on screen than it actually is. It's definitely more of a blue color in real life. But there were, I think, 6 or 7 skeins of this. And I should have bought all of them. And I actually had put all of them in my bag to buy. And then at the last minute, I just bought 3. And then I actually regretted that. And the next week I messaged Bree, who is the owner of that shop, and I asked her if those were still available, and they had already sold, because I was actually going to have her mail, like I was going to purchase them and have her mail them to me. In this little basket, I have 2 sweater quantities of yarn. I have this Mode at Rowan alpaca wool that I had bought to make something for my daughter Lily, but it was too scratchy for her. And then I also have a sweater's quantity of this Ella Ray. I actually got this deeply discounted at a kind of like a warehouse sale. I don't know that I would buy this now. This is another one of those things that I think, should I de-stash this? Like, should I sell this? But I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard because, like, I had ideas for this yarn at one point. So what if I just get another idea for it at another point? It's ridiculous. Okay. Little Fox. Again, this is something I bought a while ago. I think I actually bought this. Where did I buy this? At the Salty Sheep Yarns shop in Swansboro, North Carolina. And I actually have 3 skeins of this. The other 2 are in a project bag. I am planning on knitting another rift. I love that summer shirt. And so I had bought this to knit another one. And then I have some other random yarns here. That's my sweater's quantity of the Drops Air. Okay, now let's go over to the other bookshelf. There's not as much on here. Let me flip us around. Okay, knitting books. A basket absolutely crammed, like can't fit anything else in there, full of my mohair yarn, like the silk mohair. It's crammed full. This is just some odds and ends, and I think there might be, yeah, some Aida cloth in there. It's really random what I have in this box. I don't even know what else in there. I'd have to go through it. This is my little notions bin, and then strangely, this is where I keep my earrings. I know, makes no sense, but that's where it is. And then down here, I have my crochet books. This doesn't go here. This goes down below. This is a basket full of yarn that I have a plan for. I want to make something. This is the Joseph and Annie Abundant Earth Fiber. This is the Joseph and Annie in the Cinnamon, and I want to make a sweater. And I have several that I've thought about. I've thought about just doing a ranunculus because I know I like that sweater and the way it fits me. I've also thought of doing the Salty Days sweater or Salty Air sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, but I want to knit this holding it with this mohair. Yeah. This is for the giveaway that I'm doing. This is my fingering weight yarn. Not all of it, but a lot of it. This is the indie dyed stuff. And I have my cross stitch, embroidery, sewing books kind of just squashed on here on this shelf. But yeah, this is a lot of my fingering weight yarn, indie dyed. So I have a lot in there. Because I used to buy, when I would go to yarn shops and stuff like that, I would buy single skeins of fingering weight yarn, which I think a lot of us do when we're like newer knitters. I used to knit a lot of socks with this, and I still knit socks, but not as much because I'm definitely more of a garment knitter now. But let's take a look at this. Okay, so I have a large variety of yarn dyers in here. This is Tiny Human Knits. I love her self-striping yarn. I think I have multiples of hers, or maybe I've already knitted. Is this Tiny Human Knits? Yeah, that is. Oops, I just realized I'm not actually even filming what I thought I was filming. What is this? Color Me Sheepish. This is really hard to look beyond my camera and yet hold my camera at the same time and try to film the right stuff. So anyway, you get the gist. You get the gist of that. And then this is my collection. I have been a part of the Farmer's Daughter Fibers little sock club. And just this year I did it. I think it's probably about over. I have used at least one skein, maybe 2. let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I must have used one of the skeins to make a pair of socks. So this, I do not have these in any particular order, but this is all that I've got from that. And basically what happens if you're in that club, I love this color, isn't that so pretty, is you get a 100-gram skein of fingering weight yarn plus a mini that coordinates with it. And so this is my fingering weight yarn. I have some Holst Garn in here, like a sweater's quantity worth to make a fingering, or I'm sorry, not a fingering weight. Well, this is fingering weight. I would not knit a sweater out of this held single. It's almost like a light lace almost. It's so thin. But what I would do is, somebody had sent this to me and the colors are great. There's like some good colors in here. And I don't know if they had planned on doing a color work, like if she had planned on doing a color work sweater with this, but that's what I'm thinking. And I would hold these double to do it. So it would end up being like a sport weight or a DK. And then I just have a mini skein set there I'd gotten. This is some linen quill and my BC Garn BioBalance that I didn't do anything with this summer. Oh, I guess I have some, okay, yeah, that's Old Wire Road Co. And then I have some little line head knits yarn there as well. This is slightly embarrassing because this is my closet, but this is also yarn up here. Actually, most of it is, so this is my drops of air that I have. And then what is that? I think these are projects up here. And this might be stuffed full with knit picks, wool of the Andes. This is all of my fingering weight mini skeins, which I want to show you real quick and what I do, how I organize that. And then this is all my scraps. Like when anything other than fingering weight, there's no fingering weight in here. It's all like every other weight of yarn I store it in this. So let me pull those things down. Okay, so this is just like scrap yarn. Except I do have a whole skein of this and of this one. I don't know why I have those in here. Okay, but these are just scraps. All of my scraps that are not fingering weight, they go in here. And then as I need something that's not fingering weight, I will root through here and use it. This is filled to the max capacity. It's like I have to basically push down really hard to even get this shut. So I do need to I probably just need to buy another bigger container. Yeah, because this works well. It works well for what it is. And then let me show you what I do for my minis in case you haven't been around to see this in the past when I've talked about it. All right, so I have this big tote bag. And in the tote bag, I have Ziploc gallon-sized bags that I have filled with my mini skeins. This is all fingering weight yarn, and the majority of it is merino and nylon because it's leftovers from socks or mini skeins that I've bought as sets. So what I basically do is I keep them color coordinated. So I have bags, like I don't use a lot of yellow and orange, so I combined that into this bag. These are my shades of tealy blue. And then I've got purples, greens, not a lot of peachy colors, so I have them in a smaller bag. We got some pinks in here, but that's basically how I do it. And then these are just neutral colors that I couldn't decide where they went, so they all went into the same bag. But I find this really easy because if I'm looking for a certain color to go with, say I'm knitting socks that have a contrast toe, heel, and cuff, and I want to find a particular color. Let's say I want to go with a blue shade to do as my contrast color. I can just go and pick out my bag of blue minis and find a yarn that matches that. So this works really well for me. Also, when I was making anytime I've made a scrappy project, this is also nice because I have all of the colors arranged by color family. So as I'm going through and building my color scheme of my project, it's really easy because I can just grab the bag that has the next color family in it that I want to use. So this, I came up with this system, I don't know, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when I was working on my garter blanket, and this has worked really well for me. This is my room in the basement. Now, it is a kind of, it's not right now because I started with this desk. This is a desk that we purchased at IKEA many years ago when Lily was tiny. Not tiny, like elementary aged. We had put this in her room to use as a desk for her. I homeschooled my kids and she needed a surface to work on. So plus she's sewed, she's always sewn and done other painting and crafty things. So she needed a work surface. So we had this in storage for probably the last 8 years. When Ian moved out in the spring and I turned this into my craft room, I needed some sort of surface to have my sewing machine. So I got this out. Well, actually Brad got this out and he put it together for me. And then I got this chair off of my sister. She was getting rid of it. But since that time, let me put a little bit more light on. I think I probably need more light. Since the time of me putting this room together, and honestly, this was done, I think I worked on this a bit in the early spring, maybe like spring, and then I haven't really been down here. It's a nice room. It is a really nice room, but I don't do as much even knitting this time of year. So I've just kind of been dumping everything in here, and I feel like this winter, this will be my project to get this room set up, and it's not going to take long at all. But can you see this L-shaped desk? I need to grab my camera so you can look at it. My sister was getting rid of this. And this was her daughter's homeschooling desk. She is done. She graduated, so she didn't need it anymore. So I got this from my sister. I am going to move this over there somehow into that corner. I don't know exactly how I'm going to configure it, but this is going to be better because I'm going to have space to have my sewing machine, but also to do a little bit of like cutting or measuring as well. Or whatever else I do down here. So if we go in, you can kind of see, because this was a bedroom, in order to have it up to state regulations, we had to have a full-size window put in case, you know, there was a fire or anything and someone would need to get out. So there is a full-size window here. We have this wooden window well, and it doesn't get a lot of light down into this room, but there is some light. And someone had said about painting this white, and I could do that, but it's not a priority right now. Over here, I have my drum carder, which has not been used in ages. I feel like I used to do so much more. I don't know. When my kids were younger, I felt like I had more time to do that doesn't even make sense. I don't even know. I got that mirror to help like reflect light on Mac bed. And then again, chaos, mess. But this dresser is full of, no, not that drawer. Those are my hand carders. I have yarn shoved in these. This is like the acrylic. Well, this Nature Spun is not, but I have more of the acrylic yarn stored down here. I can see this is going to be a challenge. This is an old dresser, so it sticks. Yeah, see, got my acrylic yarn. Laundry's going off. Do I have anything in here? No. I'm not even going to open that bottom one because the knob is broken off. Where did the knob even go? Interesting. This is that bin of Knit Picks pellet that one of the viewers, Sandy, gave to me. It is full. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to dig into this. I'm so looking forward to it. Now, remember when I just said I do not knit fingering weight sweaters? This may make an exception to that rule because there are so many gorgeous colors. So the reason I don't like fingering weight sweaters is because they take so long and I get bored of them. But if I do an all over color work, that's not going to happen because I'm going to constantly be changing colors and it's going to keep my interest. I love color work and I love working with different colors. So yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. So I have all of that. And then Sandy had also given me these two cones This is black, and that's an off-white, of course. So yes, got my bulletin board up there, like my mood board, which has absolutely nothing on it because, again, not using this room. And here's another perspective. I moved down these chairs that we had in our living room. And this is an old dresser that I got at a thrift store. Whoever had this before me had like decoupaged this on. Like it's a quilt, it's fabric, but they used something to stick it on. So now it's like hard and can be wiped off. And I think they were planning on doing the same thing on the sides because I don't know that you can see it, but it's squared off and marked. And then in here, I have some more Knit Picks palette. This is just some stuff. These are full skeins that I had bought whenever it was on sale at some point. This closet, which I cannot get into right now, has a little bit of storage room in there, and I have my cotton yarn stored in there as well as some bags of fiber. I have lots of fiber. Most of it is not like the really pretty indie dyed fiber. It's just plain gray or white or brown. I used to own alpacas, so I have fiber from them, and then I have like a variety of sheep's fiber that I had just purchased online. I think most of that I had purchased when I first started spinning, and a lot of it is probably merino because that was an easy one for me to learn to spin with. But yeah, this is this room. It's definitely got a lot of stuff I need to do yet. I shouldn't say a lot. There's just things that I need to get organized. Everything's kind of just dumped in here right now, which is not pleasant or very conducive to creativity. So this fall, when it gets cooler, like cold enough that I don't want to be outside as much, I will probably make this room a priority, getting it set up and making it cozy and a nice space for me to come and be creative in. The last time I worked on this was last summer on one of the camping trips. This is the fireside blanket. I recently showed this project in my Frog or Finish It video, but this is a pattern by Lucy of Attic 24. It is a free pattern on Ravelry. I bought my kit off of Wool Warehouse. And let me show you what I have here. I did not do a lot, but I'm happy with what I did do because, well, let me show you. Okay, so all I did while we were camping was I added this granny square here, this one with the purple border, and then I started the next one. There's lots of yarn threads. That's the problem with a granny square blanket. You have lots of ends to weave in. So this is a join as you go project. And that was the big thing. That is the big thing that I'm happy about, that I remembered how to do this, because it had been a while. It had been almost a year since I worked on this project. And it's not like you're knitting or you're crocheting a bunch of granny squares and then sewing them together at the end. You're actually joining as you go. And I could not remember how I did that. I was a little stressed about remembering. So I was able to reread the pattern and figure all of those details out. So now I can confidently do that again, which is a big thing. When you haven't worked on a project for a long time, sometimes it feels so monumental to sit down and be able to find where you are in that project. So just the fact that I was able to do that is great. And so I don't even care that I literally only got one square put on and part of another one. I just finished, I did 3 rounds on this granny square. The 4th round is where you start the joining process to the rest of the blanket. So now I'm good to go, and I remember how to do that. So hopefully I can get rolling on this again. And I always do seem to feel inspired and motivated to work on blanket projects in the fall, in the winter. And it's not fall yet, but we are going to be having fall-like weather this week. It's going to be in the high of 70, 71. So even this morning, it was chilly. I had to put on a sweatshirt and take a blanket out to cover my legs up. So this will be a good project right now. Okay, I want to show you also the two other main projects I worked on during our camping trip. The first one is my Luna sweater, which is a pattern and a kit from Unraveled Knitting. I'm pretty sure they're currently sold out of this particular kit, but they have lots of other great ones on there as well. And so what I did is I worked on the body to the point where I thought maybe it would be a good length, and then I went and picked up the sleeves, and that's what I'm working on now. Now this sleeve is meant to be really full, flouncy, and have an I-cord tie that kind of like cinches up the sleeve. And I loved that, and I was really excited to have that because I don't have a sweater like that. But then I started thinking, just while we were camping, I was like, that's not a practical sweater for me. That I-cord tie, all that extra flounce, it's gonna get in my way. I'm not gonna wanna wear this sweater very often. And I absolutely love this yarn. It is so amazing and soft. Even though this is plain stockinette, I have enjoyed it because I like this yarn so much. So what I decided to do is change the arm, and I just started doing some decreases in the yarn, or in the arm. I have about 2 inches left until I get to the length that I want for the sleeve. Then I'm going to do quick decreases so that I have more of a balloon sleeve. And then I'm either going to do an I-cord bind off or a 1x1 ribbing, like up in the neck. I'm leaning now more towards the I-cord bind off, but that is yet to be determined. And then after I get the sleeves done, I'll go back and I'll do the body, because I'll have a better, I'll have a more accurate representation of the length with both of the sleeves done. But I'm thinking I need another 2 inches on the body. And then I'm going to either do a rolled hem, which would just consist of me continuing in the stockinette and then just binding off, and then it rolls up on itself, or an I-cord bind off, which I don't think I'm going to do because I'm concerned that that might be too tight for around my hips. But that's not where this is not going to stop then, because I have some other plans for this sweater that I'm really excited for, and it involves some embellishments. That's all I'm going to say, because I want to actually document that process and do a future podcast episode about it. But this is going to be, it's just so soft, so lovely. This yarn I think it's exclusively through Unraveled, and it is alpaca linen. Yeah, alpaca, linen, and wool, and then baby sari. Okay, and then the last project that I worked on fairly extensively camping, although I didn't knit a ton. It's my ranunculus that I'm knitting in my Sandnes Garn Lena, and I actually had this sweater completely finished. All it needed to be done was blocked. I just needed to block it. But I tried it on right before I threw it in the water, and I was like, this is too tight. How did this happen? I don't know, but it happens sometimes, you know? It was really tight in the bust, and it was also too tight in my midsection. I knew I wasn't going to be comfortable wearing it. I knew that I had no option but to rip it back. So I ripped it back to right under the arms. I had already knitted the arms, so I didn't want to have to rip the arms out and go back into the yoke. So I did some really quick increases, a little too quick, because can you see that? There's a bump there, which is annoying me, but I'm hoping it blocks out. I should have spread my increases out more. I did like 1 row of increases, 1 round without, 1 row with, 1 round without. I did it 3 times, and it made this bump. And I should have known that, but I wasn't thinking. I just knew I needed to get more width in this area. And because I couldn't rip back the whole way because I had already done the sleeves, I knew I needed to get it in there quickly. So I'm hoping blocking takes care of that bump. Also, I tried it on, and you can't really notice that extra fabric there. So we're going to go with it. And if I have to rip this thing out a 3rd time, I'll rip it out again. I really like this color of the yarn. So I want to make sure that that I'm going to like this sweater and actually want to wear it. So yeah, I still have quite a bit of length left to add to this. It's still way too cropped, but it's all stockinette, so it should go by relatively quickly. And I'm not going to do my episode comparing the Drops Belle to the Sandnes Garn this year because this just hasn't been the best experience for me knitting this, which is really strange because normally when I knit the ranunculus sweater, I have no problems. I zip through them so quickly. This is the first time I've had to rip back, and I don't know. It's probably because I'm using a smaller needle, and I don't know. It's okay though. It's all right. It's fine. I just want to make sure I have a sweater I'm actually going to wear in the end, and it's not just going to sit in my drawer and get wrinkles in it. Okay, so that is it because I really need to get my butt outside and get the yard mowed. It is beautifully sunny with big puffy white clouds. Love this weather. There's a nice breeze, so it should make for pleasant mowing weather. I'm going to see what I film later. When I come in from mowing, I'm going to be covered in allergens. I don't know how much I'm actually going to feel like filming. That's why I wanted to try to get the majority of it in before I actually went outside to do that chore. So if I don't come back later, thank you guys so much for watching. But maybe I will be back later with some more footage. We will see. I don't know. I don't know. We're just going to go with it today. When I was mowing, I noticed that the more elderberries were ready. I honestly didn't plan on harvesting anymore. I've already harvested 3 times off of our 2 large bushes, and the first 2 harvests I kept and processed into elderberry syrup. The third one I gave to my friend because I picked it the day before we went camping. So I knew I wouldn't get to it. But when I was mowing, I saw that there were more berries, which I was surprised because I honestly figured that the birds would eat the rest of them. So I have this big bowl here that I need to pick the berries off, and then I will finish that whole process tomorrow. I already have 2 big batches frozen, and I just freeze them in silicone molds, pop them out, and store them in Ziploc gallon-sized freezer bags, so we have them all winter. But I need to get dinner made. I found some frozen Mississippi pot roast in the freezer because I did not take anything out for dinner. Like I didn't defrost any meat, which I feel like I always do that. So I have that in the Instant Pot. I'm going to peel some potatoes from the garden, just dug out, a week and a half ago, and then steam some broccoli, and that's going to be dinner. But it's going to be a late dinner. We usually don't like to eat as late as we'll be eating tonight, but I didn't get done with my mowing until later because I didn't start it until almost 4 o'clock. So it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for coming along today. This is probably going to end any talking portions of this vlog because I need to focus on the food and getting it on the table. I will talk to you all next time. See you later.